To have a talk with Pamela Pereira, an incredible student of psychology. The main reason why I do it is, first of all, because I admire her, and also because I know that there are some doubts about what this bachelor degree is like. She's about to finish her studies, so I know we will be able to see another perspective. So I think it's time to start. Hello, Pamela. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I send and I favor getting to everybody. The social context feels good.
Oh, I think we all understand you. What interests me is that you are my first video call guest since this whole pandemic thing started. But anyway, I want to start off with a question that I think we are all wondering, which is, what do you enjoy about studying psychology?
It's impossible to choose a reason because psychology has a lot of attributes, but maybe the first thing is because it should have a change in people's lives. For example, when I do some evaluation with children and I see their progress, for me it's the best forum to be more self-determined.
And taking the example, if we look for statistics, children always turn out to be one of the most affected populations for various reasons. And I think that there is a lot of selfishness, rudeness, and indifference about this. So hearing your answer is heartwarming, really. And reading the comments, there are doubts about what the practices, the classes are like, the good, bad, and realistic things, of course.
Specifically in the practice, you don't choose where you do that. Just your teachers tell you where it will be. But the thing we really need to understand is your classes are like a simulation to take the knowledge. The good thing is you could make mistakes before the practice as long as you make the correct thing that you learn before you go to do that.
I think that answer is a subtle, if you think this is hard, just wait. But how do you feel before starting practices? I mean, how do you deal with your emotions, with the collaboration of your classmates? Hardly going to be easy to grasp every viewpoint.
With my first practice, I was really anxious because you don't know what will happen. You're just assuming that people do the activities with you, but you're emotional present in all the moment. When you see your team working to do the best for the others, also the most important point we're making is to have a clear-headed all the time.
That last part seems very interesting to me. One thing I remember from my days as a student was dealing with anxiety and stress. I developed so many problems, sleep problems. I suffer from insomnia, but at the same time not, because one day I could oversleep, and the other day I could not sleep a wink. Yeah, it was a disaster. How you had a similar problem?
Yes, I think so. With anxiety, for me, it is difficult to take long naps. Before I studied psychology, my skin has a glowing complex, but now I have some rashes, wrinkles in my eyes. It's really difficult to take care of your skin in the same time you are a student. I even thought about going to a spa. Maybe should I get a facial?
Oh, I definitely should join that plan. I understand the lack of time to take care of ourselves. The only thing I could recommend while that spa days arrives is to use anti-aging creams and sunscreen, as they are designed to prevent all these situations and to maintain a youthful skin. But back to the topic, another of the most frequent doubts is how necessary is to be an open-minded person to study psychology.
Don't worry, but it is important to say the bad thing if we don't care about ourselves and the consequence to do this. In case of my career, I think that the people believe that psychology is easy, but that isn't true. Imagine that everybody could be a psychologist. The result of this is a chaos because we need a characteristic personality. Maybe we are more empathic, analysts, filter down to our perspective, focusing on psychological theorists, of course.
Mm, totally agree. Psychologists need to have a very particular characteristics to have a lot of tolerance. I think we all actually know it in some way, but sometimes we get carried away by prejudice and myths. For example, the first thing we say to you is things like, can you give me some advice? The most common, are you going to psychoanalyze me? And can you read my mind? And more nonsense. But we actually recognize your qualities, and that is why we want to be heard, know your perspective of a problem from a neutral position, and more. It's a matter of becoming more informed and being less narrow-minded. What do you think?
I could overreact it. Also, I think my college would react the same like me because all of these expressions are really commonly here. But I appreciate that you think like this because I agree with you. Some people have a wrong concept about us, and for this reason, the people find other ways to solve their problems and go with us when they don't have more options. Also, I had no right to take it out with them. The society and the myths create that. The main is just to respect all our viewpoints.
Speaking of tolerance, you're right. There are cultural ideologies that are difficult to eradicate. It only remains to continue giving fruitful information about it. Another great question. How can we know when it's time to attend therapy?
Thank you for this question because we don't have any specific time. We need therapy in all our lives, not just in a specific moment. We need to be wired to know the best way for us, where we don't exclude our emotions and work with our intimacy.
I have heard that therapy should not be an emergency method, but rather a preventive method. And as you said, it's always a good time. When we ask ourselves, it's definitely the time to go. The last question, a very important one. Supposing a patient lies to you in therapy, do you think you could figure it out?
Yes, I could do this because in a precise moment we know when the patient lies because they maybe don't remember they saying some before the sessions, or the best way is when I apply projective tests to know more about this.
Oh, picking up projective test will be awesome for a future episode. Pamela, thank you for accepting this interview. I can say that it was very interesting and refreshing. You will be an amazing psychologist, I have no doubt about it.
Thanks to you, I think it's really important these spaces to disprove some myths and know more about that with a real professional experiences. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you.